We thought the bunker kept a monster out. It was built to keep one in, and we opened it. My name is Owen Price, and I'm telling this the way I remember breathing when the night had teeth. If I falter, that's because the story does not live well inside daylight. There were 4 of us once, me and my dorm mates, Liam Patel, Caleb Roth, and Danny Brooks. 4 freshmen too curious to be decent and too proud to turn around. We loved campus legends, dead-end forums, locked threads, the quiet sport of breaking into places where secrets gather like damp. We heard about bodies found near Black Cedar Reserve, the cause undetermined, the funerals quiet. Of course we went. This is how you die in the real world, by the way. Not because you're cursed. Because you are brave in the wrong direction. We left the city with second-hand tents and a trunk full of confidence. Liam did maps. Danny did snacks and carried his glasses cleaning cloth like it was a lucky charm. Caleb brought a cheap drone, a ham radio, and the kind of grin that makes rules buckle. I drove. We reached the reserve at dusk, when the tree line turns into a thought you shouldn't finish. The ranger station was locked. A paper notice warned of unstable structures, no camping beyond mile marker 9, and restricted property east of the ridge. Restricted meant interesting. We hiked until night brought the woods in close. The fog wasn't heavy, just certain. Our headlamps made cones of private weather in front of us. Somewhere to the right, water talked itself down a slope. To the left, gravel crunched like a driveway trying to remember being paved. "House," Caleb said, swinging his beam. Not a cabin. A mansion. 3 stories of stone and shadow. Its veranda timbered, its windows filmed with old rain. A slate crest over the door had letters eaten by lichen and time. We made out only ARD and Tate. Abandoned, Liam decided. Or pretending. We pretended we believed him and stepped inside. The air had the cold of basements in seconds. Dust moved wrong in our lamps as if deciding whether to land. We found a foyer with a broken chandelier, a portrait whose face had been scraped into absence, a kitchen whose tiles still held the rectangle where a refrigerator once stood. Someone had dragged a metal crate into the dining room and painted 3 letters across it in stenciled black. SCP. Beneath, Containment O, forward site B13. The latch was locked. Then not locked at all, just tired. Inside, masks and goggles in sealed bags, each stamped with ocular block, "Do not remove when in zone," Caleb whooped. "We found a game dev's prop closet, boys." Liam didn't laugh. He kept reading. Protocol 096 eyes. Mandatory eyewear for all personnel. No exceptions. What's 096? Danny asked, pushing his frames up his nose. An animal? A pathogen? Another crate sat against the wall, lid peeled back. Emergency arms, limited issue. We found 4 carbines, magazines taped together, a pair of smoke charges, flashbangs, and a bundle of plastic demolition blocks with instructions we didn't deserve to read. Someone had meant to hold a line and then suddenly hadn't. At the back of the kitchen, a door stood a little too casual. The stairs beyond it dropped into a cold breath. Concrete walls, steel handrail, the smell of old electricity. "The bunker," Liam said. "This place is built over it." We went down. The bunker was not a hallway with pretensions. It was a facility disguised as a secret. Clean angles, blast doors, red striping on the floor that marked safe lanes and zones we should never enter. A big sign at the first junction read, "Observation, East Holding, West Armorer, South." The lights hummed when we moved. Motion sensors maybe, or the building remembering us. We found a security room with a dead panel and a tape deck. Plenty of folders, stamps, dust, on a metal desk, laid out like a museum placard. SCP-096. Behavioral brief. Do not view face. Underneath. A photograph. But someone had carefully erased the face with a blade, leaving only a pale crown of head and shoulders. Too thin. Too wrong. The edges of a jaw that looked like it never learned moderation. Danny swallowed. They cut the face out. Because seeing it is bad, Liam said. Like those memes about cursed images, but institutional. Caleb laughed once, a sound without roots. It's a hoax. This is viral-level set dressing. The military fonts, the eyewear, the stencils, chef's kiss. The floor vibrated slightly. Not movement, memory. We found the armorer and doled the gear. The carbines were heavy and earnest. The eyewear came in 3 kinds. Blackout goggles that turned the world into blur. Slit visors that allowed light but destroyed detail. And full masks, thick, ugly, safe. The labels were polite in a way that felt like a threat. Wear at all times within red-striped zones. Do not remove to wipe condensation. Do not trust reflections. Paranoia, Caleb muttered, strapping a slit visor on. I can barely see. That's the point, Liam said. We moved deeper, following Holding west. The blast door to Holding had been propped with a rack, as if someone wanted it open and couldn't stand to touch it again. Inside was a room so large it had its own weather. Ceiling cranes, observation windows dark as lakes. In the center, a circular cell with walls like a bank vault, a ring of floor drains around it, and claw marks where steel had learned humility. The cell's inner door hung bent on its hinges, like a mouth that didn't finish a word. On the far side of the room, between a toppled cart and a cabinet, lay a body in a uniform. No two. Then, as our eyes bravely adjusted, more. Helmets dented, plates cracked, hands cooled into shapes that still wanted to help. Close by, pieces that had been left rather than placed. Unfinished meals on a floor that didn't deserve the metaphor. Maggots worked with patient optimism. I looked away so quickly the world made a noise like grief in my ears. Liam crouched by one of the soldiers, trying not to make the gesture look like a prayer. He worked the man's hand open and found a folder clenched into the fingers. The cover read 096 Incident Package. Inside, incident logs, a memo about line of sight, and a photo clipped to a sheet. Just shoulders, collarbone, and skin so pale it looked like a thought. The face torn out again. Someone had written in pen, "Do not look," and underlined it until the ink bled. Caleb exhaled. "What does it do if you look?" Liam read, voice gone thin. "Pursuit until neutralization of the viewer. Range, global. Obstructions, irrelevant. Speed variable, escalates. Known mitigation, obscuration of face via blur, block, or distortion. Do not view photographs. Do not view reflections. Do not view live feed." "Urban legend rules," Caleb said, but without the grin now. A monitor on the wall blinked itself from black to snow. The tape deck clicked. A recorded briefing started playing. The speaker all business and no comfort. Designation SCP-096. Docile when unobserved. Agitated when facial features are viewed, including images or video. In agitation phase, subject covers face and vocalizes. Pursuit phase begins after 3 to 5 seconds of eye contact event. Object pursues viewer until physical termination of the viewer. Containment involves clear signage, Class E obscuration goggles, blurred media assets. Do not remove eyewear to defog. The speaker paused, and in that pause was the sound of someone who'd said this too many times. If eyewear fogs, leave the area. Do not wipe lenses in red-striped zones. Danny made a nervous joke that died in his throat. His goggles had fogged badly. He kept touching the edge to reseat them. He hated smears. I knew that about him. I should have noticed him more and the room less. We explored the perimeter. In the observation booth, we found a bank of screens and a binder of stills, all blurred, all polite. One video began on its own, training footage. Technicians in masks moving carefully around a pale shape crouched in a corner of the cell, trembling, sobbing into long hands. The camera kept the face occluded with black bars. 3 minutes in, the tape glitched. A jump, a smear, a quarter second of unkind clarity right as Danny raised his goggles a fraction to swipe the condensation with his cloth. "Danny, don't," I started. He looked up. Only a sliver, only a moment, only enough for the part of his brain that recognizes faces to register a face. The sound that followed grew out of the speakers like a storm remembering its name. Not angry, hurt. A high, thin keening that climbed into a shriek as if the throat that made it forgot about air. In the holding room, something moved past the bent inner door so fast the air pulled after it. Floor drains rattled. Danny's cloth fell from his hand. His breath turned into little wooden pieces. "Guys," he said, and the word had splinters. "Guys, I think I—" "Don't say it," Liam hissed. "Do not say what you think you saw," Caleb shook his head. "This is part of the outer blast door shuttered. Not a knock, something arriving." The keening out in the room became closer without crossing the space in between, as if the air had been filed down to let it move. "Goggles on," Liam said, voice clipped. "Masks if you can stand them. Stay blind." Owen smoke, Caleb flash. Danny didn't answer. He was backing away from the glass like it was a mirror telling the truth. His goggles were back on, tight. It didn't matter. The rule wasn't don't look now. It was don't ever have looked at all. We learned quickly that the bunker had protocols for bad nights. The corridor lights went to safety red. Doors thunked into locks that had muscle memory. But the thing in the room had its own protocol. It wept and covered its face, and then it ran. The first impact was against the observation glass, a report so clean my teeth hurt. Hairline fractures spidered out like frost. The second impact didn't come. The glass bowed as if the pressure lived between moments. A smear of something pale slid down the pane where a hand had been. Too long, too desperate. Then the hand thudded the door. Then the wall. There wasn't rage in it. Rage is human. This was compulsion wearing speed. "Back," Liam said. To the armorer. To the stairs. We moved as a four for the last time. The hallway narrowed and lengthened the way fear can move architecture. The keening slid behind us, then ahead of us, sounding like it turned corners by choosing not to have them. I threw a smoke charge into the intersection and the world grew a white throat. We ran through it blind. Something brushed past my sleeve, made of cold and angles and the idea of a body, like a winter taught to sprint. Caleb tossed a flashbang behind us. The pop cracked the air like a knuckle. The keening stumbled. Not hurt, just interrupted. At the stairwell, Danny missed a tread and half fell, catching himself on the rail. "I can't," he said, and didn't finish. Because finishing things is for people who get tomorrows. I grabbed his jacket and yanked him up. His heart was a trapped thing in his chest. Mine was a drum student failing a test. Reached the kitchen and the house made its big decision. The front door that had hung open now wasn't. The veranda was on the other side of more glass, old panes with a ribbing like frozen soap. I raised the carbine and the first shot chewed the wood. The second did what walls always do when asked nicely by bad nights. It gave. "Out, go," Liam ordered, taking point. "North tree line, then right. Keep the house at your back." Behind us, the keening folded from mournful to monumental, like a choir learning a new note. The sound had a direction now. Toward Danny, he understood. I saw it arrive on his face like weather. "It's for me," We don't know that, Caleb lied. We ran on night legs down the drive. The woods spread their ribs. Branches pawed at our jackets, begging for stories. My headlamp carved a tunnel. In that tunnel was breath and names and the word please repeated without voice. Up ahead, the trees broke to a service road. I thought we might make it. The sound closed, choosing to be near rather than fair. Danny turned once, just once, because people turn toward what knows their name. "I'm sorry," he said. And in that apology I heard the whole equation. A dorm room, shared ramen, late-night games, sunglasses worn on cloudy days because his eyes watered. He didn't drop his goggles. He didn't need to. He already had. The forest around him bent. The air cut. None of us looked back. We did not see a face. We did not see anything. That is how we are still alive, two of us at that point. That is how Marcus in my last story didn't make it. We looked. Tonight we didn't. The sound ended the way bad music stops in a cheap speaker. Abrupt, with a little plastic hiss of after. The woods took the quiet in like oxygen. The bunker keened from very far away, as if something had already left, but the sound of it had to catch up. Liam swallowed. "Keep moving," Caleb didn't argue. His grin was gone. In its place lived Math. We reached the service road and the chain-link gate leaned at our approach like a tired guard. The sky over the mansion had learned color from the bunker lights, red threaded with white. Liam pulled bolt cutters from his pack. He brought them because of course he did, and we made a door where a door had forgotten its job. On the far side of the fence we found a maintenance shack. Inside, under a tarp, as if waiting for a different story, a utility cart with a battery that decided to forgive us, and a fuel can that didn't mind being helpful. We made the cart cough to life. We threw our packs in and lied to each other convincingly enough to climb aboard. The road out was a long suggestion. Gravel gave way to dirt. Dirt to something that remembered being asphalt. The cart argued at every route. The forest kept pace. Not with footsteps, not with breathing, but with intention. Caleb's visor was smeared with sweat and fear. He tore it off, kept the blackout goggles, then dropped even those to his neck for a heartbeat to wipe his face with his sleeve. The rearview mirror caught his eyes. In the mirror, papers in the cart fluttered and one single training still flipped to the top. The jawline from the dossier. The shoulders. The edge of a mouth black-barred in the photo but not in the reflection. He recoiled, shoving the mirror with his palm until it pointed at a useless sky. "I didn't," he began, and Liam said don't. And the woods said now. The pursuit sound came in behind us and ahead of us at once, as if the road were a string drawn through an instrument and plucked from both ends. The cart bucked. I drove harder. The speedometer needle learned optimism for the first time in its tired life. The sound reached for us. It chose Caleb. He didn't scream. He laughed once, a sound out of a younger mouth, and said, "Okay." He stood in the moving cart like a boy on a subway and launched himself sideways into the ditch where the trees were thickest, like he meant to make the distance decide. The sound followed him off the road in a single note. It ended with the quiet that follows a door closing 3 miles away in a house that remembers you. I did not cry then. I did not have room. We reached the county road at a time of night that feels like punishment. Headlights found us eventually. A couple in a pickup took us to a diner whose coffee tasted like survival. Liam called it in. The sheriff, the rangers, people with words for nights like this. We led the search party to the mansion like tour guides from a worse museum. They found the house. They found the bunker. They found what search teams always find. Evidence enough to make sure nothing nice happened. They found drifts of eyewear, labeled and bagged, and scuffed floors where boots had learned too much. They found soldiers who had died well and badly. They found a camera with footage that the tech didn't want to play. They found Danny's cloth folded neat as a flag by the broken observation glass, and Caleb's goggles caught in a bramble like a notion that wanted to climb back into a head. They did not find SCP-096. They did not find a face. They asked me to testify, to tell them what I saw without telling them what I didn't. I said all the words you say when reality needs you to turn it into paperwork. On the way out of the station, a man in a suit I don't know how to describe put a card in my pocket and said, "Don't tell the internet about the number." The card had no number, just a logo type that meant we were not the first. Liam and I returned to campus and lived there without living in it for a while. We cross the quad and flinch at mirrors. We tape over the webcams on our laptops and turn the picture frames around at night. We buy welding goggles at a hardware store because sleep has rules now. Sometimes I hear a train at 3 in the morning and the sound is too clean and my hands shake, because that's how the bunker's tape deck rewound before the world changed. When I dream, I am back in the observation room. The glass is unbroken. The training tape plays. The bar stays over the face like a good dog. Danny keeps his goggles on and complains about the fog, and the four of us argue about whether to set up tents in the parlor to tell ghost stories or sleep in the armorer because the racks look like rules. It's a good dream. It ends when the bar slips like a curtain, and the face is a concept I can't hold. And I wake with my hands over my eyes, fingers digging so hard I see stars. If you need something from me, advice, a moral, the clean edge of a lesson, I have only this: do not look. Not at the screen, not at the photo, not at the reflection in a spoon by firelight, not at the shadow that almost has features if you stare. If you wear mandatory eyewear, keep it on even when it fogs. If you must wipe it, leave the room. The room is not your friend. And if someone tells you about 4 boys who went into a mansion built to bury a problem and found the problem still waiting, don't ask me their last names. The forest knows them. The bunker does too. Names are how the world keeps score. Liam is still alive. He taught me a rule that I didn't want until I needed it. If a thing hates being seen, let it be a rumor. Let it be a story told with lighting and edits and warnings that feel like decoration. Let your eyes be a locked door, because if you see SCP-096, even for a blink, even from a smear on old glass, your life doesn't end. It just gets scheduled.